Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do you guys still watch Bill Nye? Yeah? Yeah? Bill Nye. Okay, good. I was hoping that you guys still watch Bill Nye because I got a story for you. I had a teacher, in about grade 5 or 6, and she fell off her apartment balcony, like 5 or 6 floors. I should not be laughing, but she fell. Oh my gosh, this is like 10 when she told me, and I remember sitting in the class, and the principal came in, and the other teachers came in, and they all sat us down, and they all lined the front of our classroom, and they said, "Class, we have some news for you that's a little bit sad." And we all are all thinking, our teacher has died. And they said, "Class, your teacher has fallen and she has broke her back." I should not be laughing. It was a hard moment for me. Obviously, it traumatized me, so now I deal with it by laughter. And your teacher will be gone for the next 3 weeks. And we don't know if she's going to recover fully. Your teacher could come back in a wheelchair. So you guys are going to have substitute teachers, and you need to respect them. For 3 weeks, we watched Bill Nye. I'm not even joking. I don't know how we got away with watching Bill Nye for three whole weeks. That's like 5, 10, 15 classes of just Bill Nye. And our teacher came back. She wasn't in a wheelchair. She had some neck brace thing. She was fine. And she said, "Guys, I recovered. Like, thank you so much." And we were like, "We want Bill. We want our leader. Give us back Bill." But yeah, she was fine. She just over-exaggerated, and we were all just sort of hoping that she'd show back in a wheelchair. But I'm just kidding. But when I was writing this message, I was thinking about falling. I was thinking about times that I've been trapped. I was thinking about times that I've been locked out. And I'm a kind of clumsy, accidental-prone person. I hurt myself often. Just a few weeks ago, I really locked myself out of the house, Christian was 3 hours out of the city camping, and I was coming back into the city, and I'm about 45 minutes away from Edmonton, and my phone dies. And I think, I forgot my phone charger at the campsite. And I'll just swing by the church, grab my work phone charger on the way home. And I go, "Where's my work keys?" And I go, "Where's my house keys?" And I go, "Where's my wallet?" And they're at home. And my phone is dead. And it's like midnight at this point. So I could drive another 3 hours back to the campsite, get there at 3 hours back here, get here at 6 a.m. So I lock myself out lots. I do lots of clumsy things. I've been stuck in an elevator twice. It just happens to me. If something bad's going to happen, if it's going to rain on my wedding day, it didn't rain on my wedding day, but it probably could have. But this time, this is probably my worst accident story ever because it was actually terrifying. I used to horseback ride. I'm a horse girl, proud of it. I wish I could neigh, but I can't. Shouldn't have tried that. Horse girl. But I used to horseback ride, and you guys know what a saddle is. It's the thing that goes on the horse. Yes. You are all honor student. You know what a saddle is. They have stirrups. And in horseback riding lessons, they always tell you that you need to wear shoes with a heel so that your foot does not go through the stirrup. Because if your foot goes through the stirrup and your horse takes off, you could be really hurt. Well, at the time, Converse were really in, and all of my friends were like, "We're pro riders. We don't need to wear boots with a heel. We're wearing Converse when we ride and no helmets." So this was against the farm rules. We weren't supposed to do this, but we did. We went on a trail ride. It was like me and 4 of my friends. I have no helmet on, and I'm wearing Converse shoes. And I'm on the horse, and we're just trail riding, And my horse freaks out at something and bolts. And my horse goes this way, I go this way. And I fall down, and I kid you not, I fall this way. I am on the ground. My foot is caught in the stirrup. And my horse's legs are behind me and here. And my horse is running, and I am underneath my horse. So my horse is doing this, and my foot is stuck. And I am trying to do this so that the horse doesn't step on my head. And I am terrified because I've read about this. And I read that
horses will step on my head and will crush me. And I am freaking out. And it feels like an eternity. It was probably only 5 seconds. But 5 seconds underneath a horse running feels like 5 minutes. And anyways, with some superhuman strength, I have awesome abs, a whole six-pack. And with some Wonder Woman strength, I managed to do this great crunch, kicked my foot out, and tucked and rolled. I'm not going to tuck and roll. And got free from my horse that was bolting. That's like the scariest fall of my life. So if you go horseback riding, wear a helmet. Don't try to look cool. Don't wear the Converse. But that was the time I almost died, and instead, I lived. Woo! But I was thinking about traps. I was thinking about all this stuff when I was writing this message, and I was thinking about if someone wanted to trap me, if someone really wanted to trip me up, what would they use? Maybe they would use pizza for some of you guys, maybe they'd use shoes, maybe they'd use a sail, but I want to get serious for a minute, because if someone really wanted to trip you up, what would they use? Because maybe if someone wanted to really get you in your head and trap you in something, they would convince you that no one likes you. Or they'd convince you not to try out for the soccer team because you'll look stupid and you're not as good as Ronaldo. I don't know. Or maybe they'd convince you that you shouldn't open up in your Connect group because you'd look stupid. If someone really wanted to trap you, what would they use? See, the trap that I was stuck in is that when I was in high school, when I was in junior high, is that I wanted everyone to like me. I was so caught up in this trap of I want everyone to like me, I wanted to be popular, I wanted to fit in, and I would do anything to be popular and to fit in. One day at school, I remember I went to Vic back in junior high for a year, and there's dance, there's all the artsy classes. And my friends joined dance and I joined band, and I remember I loved band class, I loved my band teacher, and I was so excited. I was also a band nerd. But all my friends went to dance. And I remember I was standing at my locker one day, and all of my friends came back, and they were laughing, they had some inside jokes, and they were so just freaking out about what had happened in their dance class. And I felt so left out that I quit band class and joined the dance class just so I wouldn't be left out of what was going to happen. I did the same thing with after school. I joined the choir, was super psyched about it. All my friends joined cheerleading, and they had all these inside jokes. They would be laughing, they'd be goofing off. Afterwards, cheerleading, they would go and they would hang out, and I wouldn't get invited. And I remember feeling so left out that I quit choir, and instead I joined cheerleading just so I could be a part with what they were doing. My last story, and this one is so sad when I think back on it, I had those outfits that you wear that are like pretty risky, like they're a bit edgy, like they're like the outfit that you're like, I look good, I look confident, like you're gonna rock this, like it's a bit out there, but you'll be okay. And then you like step outside and you're like, well, I wore one of these outfits, and I remember being sort of insecure about my outfit, and I was waiting at the bus stop, and this girl walks up to me. She goes, your outfit's weird. And I remember saying, huh? And I crossed the street, and I got on the bus that was going back to my house. I skipped school for the day because I was so embarrassed that someone would see my outfit, and I just skipped school. So I followed the crowd like mad, as you could see. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be popular, and I would do whatever it takes. And there's a story in the Bible, did I spell that right? Yep. Yes. About a guy named Bartimaeus, and he is a blind beggar, and his whole life really depends on the crowd. See, the crowd has to tell him what's going on, where things are. He relies on the crowd to get money. He relies on the crowd for everything. But in this story that we read about him, he doesn't rely on the crowd. And let's call him Bart, because Bartimaeus is just a bit too much to say. But we can learn a thing or two from our boy, Bart. So Mark 10. Then they reached Jericho, talking about Jesus and the disciples. And as Jesus and his disciples left town, a large crowd followed him. A blind beggar named Bart was sitting beside the road. When Bart heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout. Just kidding. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. So really he's just yelling, Jesus, listen up, I'm here, help me out. But
Many people yelled at him and said, "Be quiet." Now, if many people were yelling at me and telling me to be quiet, I'd just shut up. But Bart only shouts louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." So when Jesus heard him, he stopped and he said, "Tell him to come here." Then they called the blind man. The crowd, "Cheer up, Bart, Jesus is calling you. Come on, go to Jesus." See how the crowd is two-faced. But Bart, his real name is Bart, threw aside his coat, jumped up, and went to Jesus. "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus asked. "My rabbi, the blind man said, 'I want to see.'" Then Jesus said to him, "Go, for your faith has healed you." And instantly the man could see, and he followed Jesus down the road. See, Bart has a thing or two that he could teach us. This whole guy's life relies on the crowd, but in this instant, he didn't rely on the crowd. He didn't let the crowd determine if he was going to get close to Jesus or not. And that's the amazing part of this story. See, he had so many people around him in this moment that you think he would have used this as an opportunity to beg and to get lots of money. But instead of focusing on the crowd, he decided, Jesus is there, and I'm going to pursue Jesus. I don't care if the crowd tells me to shut up or to sit down. I'm getting my miracle, and I want to be healed. See, we all have people in our lives. We all have a crowd, people who influence us a little bit more than they should, people who, if they tell us to jump, we say how high, people who we follow, people who we lean a little bit close towards, and it keeps us from getting close to Jesus. Maybe your crowd is the person who invited you to Rizn. Maybe they're not really into this part of Rizn. They like the after party, they like the girls they meet, they like getting free food, but this part of Rizn, they're not really into. So instead, they just sit there on Snapchat and they say, if I were to take my shot, would I hit or miss? I'm just kidding. They sit at the back and they're not really into this part of Rizn, but you sit beside them and you feel like you want to put up your hand and you feel like you want to be engaged in worship, but instead, you just let the crowd and it keeps you from getting close to God. Maybe your crowd is your sports team. You want to fit in with them, so you'll lean into making fun of that weirder kid on the sports team, or you'll say things that you wouldn't normally say. You dress a way that you normally wouldn't just to fit in. Maybe your crowd is your boyfriend. Maybe your crowd is your girlfriend. Whoever your crowd is, we need to stop giving control of our life over to our friends and instead continue to go close to God, even when the crowd says, shut up, even when the crowd says sit down, or even when the crowd just sort of sits back, we still need to stand up like how Bartimaeus did and pursue God. See, sometimes we settle for the crowd when what we really want are close friends. All of us want good friends. All of us want close friends who we can trust in 100%, who believe in us, who know us inside and out, who remember our birthday and get us gifts. We all want friends who are there for us. We all want friends who we can tell stuff to and know that it's safe. We don't want friends who gossip about us or act to us in one way in front of people, and then when people are around, they act sort of shady. We all want close friends, but we settle for the crowd instead. And Rizn, you guys have been in school for about a month now, and I don't know what friends you have or what friends you don't have or what friends you wished you had, but I was thinking about junior high this week, and I was thinking about this crowd that I really wanted to fit in with. And I remember seeing them in the first few weeks of school and thinking, like, those guys look so cool, I want to be their friend. And I was going to the same parties that they were going to. I thought I could fit in with them. We sort of made the same jokes. We dressed the same way. And I remember so desperately wanting to fit in with this crowd, but it seemed like no matter what I did, and even if I initiated conversation with them, I still couldn't fit in with them. And I remember trying so hard to fit in with this group of people who I wanted to be friends with so bad, and just thinking, what's wrong with me? Like, what, am I weird? Like, why aren't these people accepting me? But now when I look back, I totally see it as God's protection over my life, because this group of friends was not the friends who were going to be helping me. They were not going to be the friends who were going to be giving me wise counsel. They weren't going to be the friends who were going to say, you need to be in church. They weren't going to be the friends who were going to encourage me. They weren't going to be the friends who were going to believe in me. They were just a crowd that I wanted to fit in with. And I was going to settle for the crowd, but what I really wanted was close friends. See, Rizn, You need a crew around you that's all about Christ, and you need friends who you don't just hang out with, but friends who you're going to change the world with. God has a purpose for each and every one of you. I don't know if anyone's told you that before. Maybe people have told you that there isn't a plan for your life. Maybe people have told you that you're not going anywhere. Maybe people have told you that you're too young, you're too stupid, or you're too much of a girl, or you're too black. Maybe people have said racist things to you, and it's made you feel like I can't do anything in my life, isn't amounting to anything. But what I'm telling you is that God has a plan and a purpose for your life, no matter where you come from, that God wants to use your life, and that you need people around you who are going to encourage you in that, who are going to say, don't get involved with that. There's something bigger on your life than this. Don't start speaking that way. Don't start hanging out with those people. You need people who are going to tell you, hey, don't listen to those kids at ABJ. Hey, don't listen to those kids at Jasper Place. Hey, don't even get me started about those McNally kids. Those kids are whack. I'm just telling you, you need friends around you who on the outside are going to help grow you inwardly, going to help grow you spiritually. So, Rizn, I want you guys to throw off the crowd. I want you to remember Bart's and not let the crowd decide how close you're going to get to Jesus. But I was thinking, how can I get these guys to remember this? How can I help Rizn? How can I help them know which friends are good friends and which friends are not so good friends? And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking that good friends are a lot like dogs. And I have a friend here, but before we freak out, this dog is nervous. It's diagnosed with social anxiety dog disorder. So don't yell and freak out, because it could freak out, but let's just golf clap our dog friend up on the stage. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Look at the puppy. So this is Finn. And Flynn with the L, you guys. Don't mess it up. This is Flynn. And I was thinking that good friends are a lot like dogs. See, dogs, there's a reason that dogs are called man's best friends. Dogs are reliable. They'll have your back. They're loyal. Dogs get excited to see you. When you walk home and your dog's there and it's freaking out and it's wagging its tail because it's so excited to see you, good friends are like that too. See, dogs can tell when you're sad, and they'll come cuddle up on you on the couch. Dogs eat the food that you don't like. Friends are like that. Find you a friend who likes the food that you don't. Complete each other's meals. Friends, dogs, you can tell dogs your deepest things, and you don't have to worry about them spreading it around, and friends should be the same way. Good friends don't spread your secrets. Good friends don't gossip about you. Good friends aren't like the crowd that Bartimaeus dealt with, where they treat you one way, and then the next moment, they change and they're shady. Good friends love you unconditionally, even if you mess up and one day you forget to take them on a walk or you forget to feed them, they still love you. And dogs, sometimes they poop in places you don't want them to, but you still love them. And sometimes your friends hurt you and they make mistakes, but you still love them anyways. And I also think that bad friends are a lot like these eggs. These eggs, bad friends are like these eggs. See, bad friends, gotta crush that one some more. See that? Bad friends are like eggs. When you start hanging out with friends who gossip, you'll start gossiping. They get their mess all over you. When you start hanging out with friends who bully, you'll start bullying too, because they just get their mess all over you. And if you have enough of these friends, even if they're in cookie dough, you'll still get sick. And they're unreliable. They're not trustworthy. They don't have your back. They crack easily. When times are tough, these are the first people to leave. And instead of leaving you feeling great, when you spend time with a dog, you feel pretty good. You're like, animals love me. The world is right. But when you hang out with friends and you leave and you feel worse leaving them than you did arriving, bad friends are like eggs, and they just mess you up and leave you worse than the way you came. Thank you, dog. You guys now we can clap for our dog. He was so good. Go, Flynn. Y'all got to give me a second, because I told Stephen, please don't break my eggs on the way up here, and he didn't, so good job, Stephen. See, I want you guys to remember, good friends are like dogs, and bad friends are like eggs. And when you start to get around someone who you know, they're not making me feel right. I like them and they're funny, but they're not a good friend. You need to tell yourself that's an egghead friend. Or is this person like a dog? And you got to tell yourself, is this a dog or is this an egg type person? See, Rizn, I went through a season of loneliness in high school. I had just started coming to I had been coming to Rizn for a few years, but I decided I really wanted to step up my relationship with God. I really wanted to take church seriously. I didn't want to do this back and forth thing I had been doing. And I lost some friends because of that. And I went through this season of a year or two of just feeling so lonely and feeling like I don't have good friends and I want good friends, but I don't have them. And in those times, I just remember praying, God, send me friends, send me the people who you want to have in my life. And I remember leaning into God and just feeling like, Jesus, be my best friend. Comfort me, give me peace. And I leaned into God, and high school was one of the loneliest times of my life, but it was also one of the most fulfilling and one of the most joyful times of my life. And it seems weird that those things could go hand in hand, because outwardly I didn't have friends, but inwardly and spiritually I had someone who had never left me. I had Jesus, and he was always by my side, and he was giving me peace and joy every single day. And maybe you feel lonely. Maybe you feel like you don't have any friends. Maybe you walk through the hallways alone. Maybe you eat lunch alone. Maybe you even have a group of friends, but you still feel lonely. Maybe you have friends who you have a good time with and they're funny and they send you memes, but you know that you could never open up to them. You know that you could never share things that you need to. You know that the way that you guys spend your weekend leaves you feeling sadder and more lonelier. And this is why we're so hardcore about YCGs. See, YCGs aren't just a place just to hang out and have fun, even though they are. But when I was lonely and I was praying, God, help me have friends, send people into my life, I felt, join a connect group. And I went, no, just send the friends to me. But it took me stepping out and saying, I'm going to show up to this connect group with people I don't know, people who I'm not sure about, and I'm just going to try it out. And when I showed up to the YCG and I heard that voice saying, don't open up, don't share, you don't want to look stupid, you're trying to impress these people, remember you want them as your friends, I remember having to shut that down and saying, Jesus, help me to be transparent. Help me to be vulnerable. Help me to be a good friend first. And I remember feeling like I needed to step out and I needed to remember their birthday first. I needed to tell them they looked good. I needed to be a good friend. And then I found that friends came to me. But I stayed comforted through all of that time because God was my best friend. And I remember walking home from school and just feeling joy, even though I was walking home alone. I remember walking home from school, and this is one of the greatest, and the sun was shining, it was like a perfect day, and I remember thinking, God is my friend. And I was like 15 years old, and just the fact that I could feel God walking home from school, I was like, I have all that I need. And maybe you need that in your life. Maybe you need the presence of God. Maybe you're going through a tough time at school. You feel lonely. You feel broken. And you need the presence of God to be with you in that classroom. You need the presence of God to be with you in the hallways. When you're laying home in your bed and you feel lonely and you feel a weight in your chest and you feel anxiety and you don't know why, you need the presence of God. You need the Holy Spirit to say, I'm with you. I've always been with you. I've seen your life from day one. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I love you and I want to do life with you. You need Jesus as your best friend. He's your comforter. He's your all in all. He's your king above everything, and he has control of your life. And just like we've seen in all the lyrics today, that he wants to give you peace and peace above all understanding. See, Rizn, I want to pray for you guys, and I want to pray for people who feel like you don't have close friends and you need the presence of God, that how I've talked about Jesus being your best friend, you need that. And I want to pray for people who you feel God's presence right now and you think, I'm missing this and I can't miss out, that I need to decide to follow Jesus and to do life with him. So I just want everyone to bow their heads. And if that's you, if you need Jesus as your best friend, I just want you to raise your hands on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. That's incredible, you guys. Any more, if you want to raise your hand, if you want Jesus as your best friend, that's amazing. It's the best decision I've ever made. Okay, I want all of us to pray this together. Even if you didn't put up your hand, just repeat after me. Jesus, I invite you into my life. I ask you to forgive my sins. I ask you to be my Savior, my best friend, and my Lord. I want to follow you with all of my heart. Let's do this thing together. Amen.